radio talk show, The Savage Nation, home of unprotected thought, borders, language, culture. And here he is, Michael Savage.
The CIA has other ways of gaining information. It's getting assets. We've got very good human information. We've got satellite information. There are ways of putting the picture together. And what we're saying is the picture, to a great extent, was put together before the enhanced interrogation techniques.
The future must not belong to those who slander the Prophet of Islam.
Well, there's an awful lot to be said, and there's an awful lot of blame to go around for the worst terrorist attack in France since the Nazis occupied Paris. Welcome to the Savage Nation. The world has been at war for 1,000 years. As you well know, there is nothing new with regard to Muslim terrorism. They've been at war with every other religion for well over 1,000 years. Only they're better organized, better educated, and better armed today than ever. And unfortunately, for the safety of the West, we have nothing but cowards and liars and thieves and grifters running our nations. So the questions for the Savage Nation are these. Who do you blame for this, and how do you prevent the next terror attack? Who do you blame for this, and how do you prevent the next terror attack? Do you actually think that President Barack Obama can really do the right thing to protect us? Do you think that President Obama can do this? Did you see Boehner today with his disgusting skin coloring, using man tan, or whatever they use today with a fake tan, giving the most tepid, stupid, useless speech in the world? But he's not alone. How about the great conservative leader of England? Did you hear what was not said by Cameron? Or how about the once loudmouth Merkel of Germany? Did you hear what the useless idiot who runs Germany had to mumble today? Did you hear what your useless idiot president had to say today? Did you hear what that moron John Kerry did? Started babbling in French to show us how literate he is. His wife wrote the speech for him, no doubt, because, of course, she speaks so many continental languages. Can this current leadership handle a terror crisis in this country? An administration that sees enemies only in the Tea Party and not in Muslim terrorists? An administration that spies on Tea Party members but has made it verboten to spy on mosques? How about Hollywood and the media? What's their responsibility? Will they finally get the message that they're going to be the first targets of these animals? Will Jake Tapper finally get his loud mouth on the right targets and off the wrong targets? There are many questions, and there are many answers. But we have ostriches running this country. Now, I blame Dianne Feinstein in part for this attack in Paris. You're going to say, come on, that's nuts. That's just political expediency because you have an axe to grind. No, I don't know Feinstein, but I know this. In attacking the CIA as she did just before Christmas with her leakage of the so-called torture reports, what she did was intimidate our spy agencies from doing what had to be done to get information from these animals. You know and I know that just as the New York City Police Department is now intimidated from the radical vermin like Al Sharpton and the other vermin who hate the police, the CIA has been called off the job by this witch called Dianne Feinstein, perhaps the most powerful politician in America next to the president. This witch attacked the CIA just when they were probably on the cusp of breaking a few more terrorists somewhere in hidden cells around this world. And so I wonder if we can survive. We are at war. You do know that the French police have no weapons. Did you know that? Did you know that Obama, Holder, Sharpton, and Pelosi are working to disarm our local police departments across America? First by saying they're racists who target black men. Next, they're going to start to target their guns and their weapons. And we'll have American policemen on the ground begging when an Islamist comes up to them with an AK-47. They'd like them disarmed, just like the French police. Isn't it nice to see such a civilized country as France? Because, you know, the liberals say that they're people of the world. They're citizens of the world. They're not citizens of America. Well, how does it feel to be a citizen of a world without police? How does it feel to be a citizen of a world that can't defend itself? 12 Dead at Paris magazine that ran Muhammad cartoons. If you want to see the cartoons, You can go to the very brave Drudge Report for the cartoons. Yeah, you can go there and you can see that. You can see all the cartoons. Matt Drudge has a lot of courage, I got to tell you that. All the cartoons are up there. So who do you blame for this, and how do you prevent the next terror attack? What must we do in this country to stop the Islamo-fascists who are living in this country, plotting in this country, planning in this country, scheming in this country, day and night, around the clock? But the FBI is focused on the Tea Party and returning military veterans and those who oppose abortion and Christians who wear their crosses who've come back from Afghanistan and Iraq. That's who the FBI is monitoring, not you. They're not monitoring the radical Islamists because they're hands off. Ask Jeh Johnson of Homeland Security who he's monitoring. Ask Jeh Johnson of Department of Homeland Security, who has broken our borders with Mexico, how many of the illegal aliens who look like Mexicans are really Islamists? How many have already come over the border with AK-47s? Ask Jeh Johnson. See what kind of answer you get from him. Well, those are some of the issues. I know that many of you are dying to say things about the ostrich syndrome that the West is inclined to engage in, another terrorist attack, and again, the same reaction of the media and elected officials. The same message. The message, let's not jump to conclusions. Let's not label this as terror. Let's not connect it to Islam. It's Islam being hijacked by a few maniacs. It's lone wolves. Well, that's the ostrich doctrine. Legend tells us that ostriches are so dumb that they bury their heads in the sand when they sense danger or to protect themselves from predators. Yet the rest of their body is exposed to attack. Whether this is true or not, this is the posture of Boehner, Obama, Feinstein. And the entire West is like an ostrich. When an attack happens, as it did today, the media refuses to report it for what it is. Instead of calling them Muslim terrorists, they call them attackers or gunmen. Then they trot out useless idiot pundits to say we can't rush to judgment, and this does not represent Islam. Our leaders, so-called, use the same tepid language after these terrorist attacks, but their crime is worse in some ways. The leaders have the responsibility and the ability to fight this and protect us, but they bury their heads in the sand, hoping the problem will just disappear. But that only leaves the rest of us exposed to another attack. Whether you know it or not, we are at war. We're in World War III. It's a clash of religions. It's a clash of civilizations. Make no mistake about it. The problem is that we don't have a government to protect us. It's each man for himself. This goes back to the Bush administration. It goes all the way back to the Bush administration. During the fight in Iraq, for example, the Bush administration put many of our men in prison for executing terrorists in the field. Did you know that? I've helped some of them get out of prison. You've helped raise money for some of our brave heroes who were given court-martials and thrown in prison for 5 and 10 years because they had the guts to fight the Islamo-fascists eye to eye, face to face, and shoot them in the face rather than getting shot in the face first. This president talks about ending wars, and Obama takes pride in pulling our troops out of places that they spilled blood to gain. Obama may think he's ending a war, but the enemy has not left the field. They only continue to become emboldened because they see they only have to pull off these small attacks, and we'll put our heads in the sand like ostriches and hope it just goes away. This does not make the Islamo-fascists stop. It only encourages them to dream up bigger and greater attacks. Our leaders and the media must pull their heads out of the sand and look this straight in the eye for what it is. Radical Islamic terrorism. A group of throwbacks who continue to live in the 7th century. They will not stop until we use everything in our power to stop them. We see this for what it is, and we know what needs to be done. The problem is we have no leadership. The phone number here is 855-400-7282. I'll be right back.